We're going to see the Nomad Souk. Apparently they have good prices. Ever since the port closed, people have been buying cheap, no choice. We're going to see the Nomad Souk. Apparently they have good prices.
Since the town hall closed the port, we sometimes get the impression we're living in a ghost town. With all that's happened, I don't see how they could have prevented the port from closing. Since the town hall closed the port, we sometimes get the impression we're living in a ghost town.
Hi there. Anything biting?
As if. 20 years there's been fewer fish, but sometimes you can get lucky. Go figure. It's really odd.
You seem to know the region well. Maybe you can fill me in a bit. I'd like to know a little bit more about the local legend. I was told that there's a monster down there, living at the bottom of the lake.
It's not a legend.
And how can you be so sure?
Back when the lake froze over earlier in the season, people would go out and make holes in the ice in the middle of the lake, then fish like that. Sometimes they would even set up these cabins for the winter next to the hole. The old folk always said you should only cut a small hole, just wide enough so the fish could be pulled through when you landed them. No more than that. One day, this guy who was kind of odd cut a really big hole. To make it easier, he said. In case he caught a really big one. You don't have to believe me, but he's the one who went into the hole. Backwards. Into the depths. In less time than it takes to say it, the monster's arm came through the hole, then dragged the poor guy down to the bottom of the lake. That's why the old folks say never make a big hole in the ice, because of the monster that lurks below.
And how do you know all that?
Because the poor guy was my older brother. And I was fishing just next to him that day. So you think what you want. You have a good day, miss. It's because of the lake monster that the locks are closed. 20 years the port's been left to rot. Damn Baranur.
Are you okay, sir? One more step and you were in the drink.
R-E-N-O.
Pardon?
It's me, Captain Obo. Obo! Proud commander of the just as proud Crystal. So don't you, sir, me.
Well, delighted. Captain, I'm Kate Walker. I'm looking for Steiner's, the clockmaker.
If I fall in the water, sailor, it'll be to go straight to hell. So don't fall in the water, sailor. You understand? Bastard's waiting for me.
Who are you talking about?
The monster of the lake is waiting for us all, miss. Everyone's time comes eventually. To finish the work. Come on, back in the fight. Because you can never lower your guard. Never.
The crystal? Isn't that the boat that the drunk in the port was talking about earlier? As deserted as the outside. Given the number of seats, this must be some kind of ferry. Hello? Anyone here? It's more and more like walking through a ghost ship. Nobody here either. Everything seems to still be working. Strange for a boat to be left like this, unwatched. Nobody. Why is access to the boats blocked? Why is access to the boats blocked?
I'd rather be left here on my own if you don't mind,
chickens
miss.
last.
I'm sorry, but I'm really not in the mood. I'd rather be left here on my own if you don't mind, miss.
Excuse me, please, miss.
Yes?
I'm looking for Simon Steiners.
Simon Steiner is my grandfather. My name is Sarah. Sarah Steiner.
Pleased to meet you, Sarah. I'm Kate Walker. Can you tell me where I can find your grandfather's workshop?
Of course. You'll find his shop is at the end of the alleyway, on the left, just as you leave it, in the main avenue. Can I ask what you want with him? Because he's rather old, you know.
I'm accompanying the Ucal caravan. Apparently your grandfather is supposed to be making a mechanical prosthesis for Kirk, their spiritual chief, who had a bad accident recently. Without the artificial leg, Kirk won't be able to go along with the great migration of his people. And on top of that, the Ucals won't leave without their guide.
You're accompanying the Ucals? My God, you're so terribly lucky. When I was little, Grandfather used to tell me all about their adventures, full of mystery and magic.
You seem to like the Ucals, Sarah. I get the impression that's rare in Valsambor.
It's true that when it comes to the Ucals, people around here can be a bit silly. They go out of their way to make the nomads scapegoats for all of the town's problems since they got stuck here.
But you don't, do you?
Of course not. Grandfather told me that he has actually seen 3 or 4 of the great ostrich migrations in his lifetime, and he always really respected those strange people. He even made sure I would admire them too, you know.
Do you like life in Valsambor?
Oh, there's really not that much to talk about here, you know. I spend all my time here or with Grandfather since he got sick.
There was no one who could keep an eye on him for you?
We can't afford it, I'm afraid. I also think I prefer it this way. My grandfather is my only family.
I guess you're pretty close to your grandfather?
Yes. Of course he can get a bit grumpy, especially the last few years. But he's actually really adorable, and you should see the work he does. Give him a few cogs and springs, and he'll give you some unbelievably incredible invention. He almost makes mechanical objects seem alive.
I see exactly what you mean. I used to know someone like that too.
The only problem we have is that business collapsed when he got sick. I really do believe that if I didn't have the waitressing jobs to make ends meet, we'd probably have to close up shop.
Thank you for your help.
I'll be stopping in to see Grandfather on my next break. Maybe I'll see you there.
Yes, I hope so. Goodbye, Sarah.
I'd really suggest you steer well clear of Captain Obo, miss. He's always basically drunk as a skunk.
It's been hard to sell our produce since the port closed. And now those nomads show up and undercut us.
We're pretty lucky with all we've been through. At least we've still got places like this.
There's something about those nomads at our doors they're not telling us. They can deny everything they want, but regardless, the truth is out there. You mark my words.
The lake is haunted by a demon. It's watching me. Waiting. I can feel it. The crystal took across more travelers ever than any other ferry from Valsambor. The monster is lurking at the bottom of the lake. That's where it sees what's happening on the surface with those red eyes.
That shape there in the water. What is it?
I know I should try not to drink so much. Everybody tells me, Obo, alcohol isn't going to help you sort yourself out at all.
I hope you find the tavern agreeable, miss. Vlad the boss does whatever it takes to keep the place cozy. With everything going on, that's not bad.
All those youngsters trying to act smart to impress the Steiner girl. It really gets to me. If only I was still 20 years younger.
I'd really suggest you steer well clear of Captain Obo, miss. He's always basically drunk as a skunk.
I'm not standing here because I'm happy, you know, miss.
Ah, miss, delighted to see that you finally managed to leave the Yukol camp.
Yes, thank you very much for the pass.
Well, now that you're at last here, you'll be able to taste my famous borscht.
It would be my pleasure, but I do have to find Steiner the clockmaker right away.
Simon Steiner? Ah, in that case, you should speak with Sarah, our young waitress. She's his granddaughter.
I met that man recently. A certain Captain Obo. He doesn't seem very with it.
And he's been that way for 20 years, miss. 20 years. Can you imagine? He used to command the Crystal, the boat that made the crossing between here and the amusement park, on the other side of the lake. And he wasn't the same man then.
How are things in town? They don't seem to be going that well.
If you ask me, the atmosphere is horrible. At least half the people don't want the U-Calls right at our door. Most of the shopkeepers even made the decision to go on strike over what they saw as unfair competition. Also, Valsambor hasn't been the same in the last 20 years. There it is.
Is Simon Steiner well known here in Valsambor?
For a long time, he was rather popular. You know, he isn't just a clockmaker. He knows everything about mechanical objects. He repaired everything for everybody here in Valsambor. He also designed the amusement park on the other side of the lake with a colleague of his. A French automaton creator, if I remember right. You could say Valsambor owes a lot to Simon Steiner, miss. So when he got sick, I offered to hire Sarah to help a little. You understand?
I'm off. Thank you again for your help.
See you soon, miss.
That's the nice man who helped me leave the Yukol camp. I should go thank him.
Captain Obo's got it real bad today. Poor old bastard.
Everyone's been surly the last few months. Living here is unbearable sometimes of late.
Looking for cigars or some hooch? I'm even cheaper than the nomads. Don't go asking where it all comes from, of course.
No Yukos in Valsambor!
The shopkeepers are on strike for the first time in ages. That's not good business for anyone, if you want my opinion. Mayor Boya King hasn't been up to handling the situation since the catastrophe. I've said it for years.
The nomads are stealing our merchandise and our customers. The Yukos don't belong in Valsambor. The shopkeepers have had enough.
Thieving Yukos in Valsambor!
The shopkeepers want them out the door!
Thieving Yukos in Valsambor! The shopkeepers want them out the door! Close the Nomad Souk! Throw them all out or we'll stay on strike!
There have been 10 thefts from my shop since those savages showed up! Mr. Mayor, who's gonna pay?
Come outside! Show yourself, Mr. Mayor!
Yeah, come outside now or we'll throw you out in the next elections! Mayor Boyakin! Mayor Boyakin!
Thieving Yukos in Valsambor! The shopkeepers want them out the door! Thieving Yukos in Valsambor! The shopkeepers want them out the door!
What? That statue? No, it's impossible. If you were only here to see this, Oscar.
It's kicking off near the town hall.
I don't like that new waitress working in the tavern at all. What with her grandfather being an old friend of the nomads and the way she turns the customers' heads, there's no way Sarah Steiner can be anything but trouble, I'm sure. I don't like that new waitress working in the tavern at all.
I hope it won't come down anywhere near here. That's absolutely the last thing we need.
Welcome to our humble Valsambor funicular station, miss. I'm afraid you'll have to wait a bit before you can go up to the clinic. Traffic has been halted this morning, and now there's a rather progressive return to service.
Impossible, I don't believe it. He forgot to leave it open again. Kirill! Kirill! When I get my hands on him, this time he's really going to get it.
Hello. Are you Mr. Steiner? I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Steiner. My name is Kate Walker, and I've come to pick up the prosthesis for Kirk, the Yukel's spiritual guide.
And well, dear Miss Walker, Dr. Efimova has informed me that the young man was not yet in any sort of condition to withstand the operation, and that...
Mr. Steiner, are you all right?
It is impossible. That pendant you have around your neck. I would be very obliged if you would entrust me with it for a moment. Please, Miss Walker. Mein Gott! An XZ-2000 automaton heart in perfect working condition. A compensating spring memory. Pendulum ventricles and small mechanical pumps. Everything seems in excellent condition. Donnerwetter! Where on earth did you steal this, Miss Walker?
What? Are you calling me a thief, Mr. Steiner? I haven't stolen anything from anyone. This is all I have left of my friend Oscar. Give it back to me right now.
Ah, so. And yet I am actually very familiar with this type of precision mechanism. An infernal precision. Incredible, unique expertise. For this was a Vorarlberg automaton, Miss Walker.
Yes. It was Hans Vorarlberg who designed this object. Tell me, did you know him?
Oh, yeah. He even lived here a few years. We did a lot of work together. He taught me so many different things, you know. So it is useless to try and make up silly stories, Miss Walker. And I am afraid that I am not about to allow you to leave here as long as you have not told me the truth about where this object comes from.
Mr. Steiner, Oscar was a very special automaton. He inspired almost human emotions. But today he doesn't exist. He isn't dead, of course. Because what has never lived cannot die. Oscar was just dismantled. It had to be like that. All that I have left of him is that heart, a heart made of metal.
It's far more than just a heart, miss. It's far more like a kind of mechanical hard drive. A computer that is full of cogs, gears, and springs, but...
Mr. Steiner, are you all right?
My heart... need... my medication! Quickly!
Just don't move. I'll go and get your medication right away. No medication in sight. A prototype for the clinic aviary?
Make yourself right at home. Don't mind me. I just own the place.
Who would store medication in this mess? Still nothing. An old press clipping. Kirk's prosthesis, but it looks like it isn't finished. A woman's writing saying, "Grandfather, don't forget to take your medication 3 hours before dinner." Still nothing. Who would store medication in this mess? Who would store medication in this mess? Kirk's prosthesis, but it looks like it isn't finished. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while. Tea. It doesn't work. Let's try something else. Impossible. That's not right. Nothing. Tea. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while.
My heart. I need my medication. Quickly.
A prototype for the clinic aviary? No medication in sight. Tea. Impossible. No way. That's not right. It doesn't work. Who would store medication in this mess? Still nothing. Kirk's prosthesis, but it looks like it isn't finished. A woman's writing saying, "Grandfather, don't forget to take your medication 3 hours before dinner." Who would store medication in this mess? Fantastic. Fantastic. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while. Tea.
Look at me. Are you satisfied? I just can't handle any aggravation anymore.
No medication in sight. No medication. A prescription. That could do him more harm than good. Nothing that could help him. No way. No medication. That could do him more harm than good. Nothing that could help him. There's no point. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while. Tea. Still nothing. Who would store medication in this mess? A woman's writing saying, Grandfather, don't forget to take your medication 3 hours before dinner. Who would store medication in this mess? Fantastic! That could do him more harm than good. No medication. No medication. No way. Nothing that could help him. There's no point. Nothing that could help him. That could do him more harm than good. No medication in sight. Tea. Tea. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while. Tea. No medication in sight.
Get my medication.
No medication in sight. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while. No medication in sight. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while. Who would store medication in this mess? Kirk's prosthesis, but it looks like it isn't finished. A woman's writing saying, "Grandfather, don't forget to take your medication 3 hours before dinner." Who would store medication in this mess? A prototype for the clinic aviary? A prototype for the clinic aviary?
My God. My heart. I need my medication. Quickly.
No medication in sight. Empty. All that clattering must get really tiring after a while.
Look at me. Are you satisfied? I just can't handle any aggravation anymore.